If there are any athletes that are deciding to protest at the Tokyo Olympic Games, I would just say go for it. I just couldn't stand by and listen to that song that didn't represent Black Americans. And so many Black Americans are being killed under the flag in America. And so I just decided to raise my fist in solidarity to those people. Here I am with this big USA across my chest, representing this country that says freedom and justice for everyone. And I know I'm living in that very same country that systemic racism and oppression honestly led me down this path and put me in this path and, made my life what it is. I'm here, but a lot of people, they experience life worse than me. They have it worse than me. And my life growing up wasn't the best. And it's all because of the systemic oppression that America puts on Black and brown communities and minorities. So how can I be proud in that moment to represent that very country?
All right, guys. So we got to talk about a disgraced woke Olympian who happens to be a Black woman, and a disgraced race hustler, Ibram X Kendi, who came together, sponsored by ESPN, to boohoo, whine, and cry about racism in sports, as if that's even really a thing. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what argument you can make for racism in sports, considering how Black people basically dominate sports, okay, especially sports like football and basketball. But again, this is what ESPN, aka Disney, is doing. Okay, they're creating productions where you have $1 million athletes and $1 million race hustlers sit around in a circle, okay, and jerk each other off to the idea that they're oppressed and they're victims, right? They boohoo, whine, and cry. And in this boohoo, whine, and crying session, this disgraced Olympian by the name of Miss Gwendolyn Berry and Kendi, they basically discuss how professional sports contracts are like slavery. Okay, they're comparing professional sports contracts to slavery. Now, before I play this clip of them having this discussion, I actually want to play a clip real quick to remind you of the disgraced Olympian who is in this clip. Again, she goes by the name of Miss Gwendolyn Berry. And Miss Gwendolyn Berry, you guys should remember this story. She went viral for turning her back on the national anthem in 2021 during the Olympic trials before the Tokyo Olympics. Okay, she turned her back on the national anthem. She openly disrespected it because she feels like the national anthem was disrespectful to Black people. Take a look.
Let's be clear. I do respect the Constitution because obviously I was exercising my constitutional right, but I will not stand for any type of symbol or song that does not stand for all people in America.
And you think the symbol, the flag and the anthem are symbols and signs that don't stand for all Black people in America?
Yes.
Why is that?
The songs, the lyrics, the symbols, it just doesn't. We know our history. Everybody knows the history. And I feel like it is something that people are trying to pay attention to instead of paying attention to the real issues that we need to be talking about. And we need to be talking about the racial and social injustice issues that Black communities still face till this day. It's the same thing. And people are trying to divert the attention to a song and a flag when that's not even the biggest thing that we need to be focusing on right now.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? This woman is basically anti-American. She feels that Black people are being oppressed in America, so oppressed that she did not feel okay with, I guess, honoring the national anthem or honoring the flag, even though she chose to play in the Olympics for America. Again, it's amazing stuff. If you really feel like the country is disrespecting or hurting or oppressing Black people and you feel that strongly about it, then maybe you shouldn't sign up for the Olympics at all, okay? And she did end up going to the Tokyo Olympics, but she failed to even medal, okay, because she really wasn't that good in the first place. And that's kind of what happens to woke athletes, okay? They tend to kind of crash and burn. Ask Colin Kaepernick. And this is why they have to make crazy statements like, for example, being in the NFL is like being a slave, which is what Colin Kaepernick said. Now you have this woman taking a page out of his playbook and basically saying the same thing about sports contracts in this woke discussion with Ibram X Kendi. Take a look.
It's almost like the contracts, are the new slave chains, right? So, you have to sign this contract and sign this document and sign this document. It's like you're binded to this. And then if you break that, that's your livelihood, that's your life. So we the new slaves. Athletes are literally the new slaves because we need this. Our families, our friends depend on this contract to eat.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? A bunch of woke nonsense. Athletes are the new slaves. Athletes are the new slaves because they need their contracts, and therefore them signing contracts and having to adhere to the terms of the contract makes them slaves. Now, again, we're going to get into that, but first I want to read a little bit more about this show here from ESPN. Because again, I want to make sure we're clear about who's platforming these types of Looney Tunes ideas. So let's read here. A former Olympian delivered an eye-opening remark comparing professional sports contracts to slavery during an appearance on ESPN's new series hosted by, quote, anti-racist Ibram X Kendi. ESPN gave Kendi his own series titled Skin in the Game, which delves into and challenges racism in the sports world and will reveal how pervasive racism is in sports while challenging the thoughts and systems of various governing bodies. The 5-episode series features episodes subtitled, quote, How do athletes play a role in social change? Are black women athletes carrying the weight of the world? What is the cost of race norming? And what is the impact of racist ideas in sports media? Yeah, again, that all sounds very enlightening, okay? Especially the are black women athletes carrying the weight of the world, okay? Again, I'm not sure exactly what is it about black women believing that they are the key to saving the world, right? When, we actually have a real world example of what happens when you just let black women run stuff. For example, the hood, okay? The black community, for the most part, a lot of black community, they are ran by black women. And look at the result without a man in the household, okay? It's chaos, right? Chaos, dysfunction, and violence. So again, we all know what happens when you put the weight on the backs of black women and you ask them to carry it. Again, things end up being a disaster. So again, it's just so funny because they say the same thing about the 2020 election. Oh, black women save America from Trump, right? So are you telling me black women are responsible for inflation? Black women are responsible for an open border? Black women are responsible for crime? Yeah, if you want to keep saying that, okay, fine. But I don't think that actually helps black women or paints black women in a positive light. I'm just saying. So anyways, yeah, you saw what she said. What she said was ridiculous. And honest to God truth, I don't understand these people. If you don't like this country and you feel like you are living under a flag that oppresses black people, then leave, right? Leave the country. Go to Africa where, you won't be oppressed, right? Apparently life will be so much better. But she won't do that, okay? She won't do that. She's still here in America. It's funny how that works. This woman feels like sports contracts are modern day slavery. Okay, great. Don't sign a sports contract, right? Quit. Don't be an athlete. Nobody's making you be an athlete, just like nobody makes you sign a sports contract. I don't understand what's up with these woke revolutionaries and the Stockholm syndrome that they seem to have, okay? Just like Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick wrote a letter to the Jets begging to be on the practice squad, right? He wanted to be a practice squad slave after comparing the NFL to a slave institution, okay? The owners are plantation owners, okay? And this guy wants to be in the NFL. He wants to be on the NFL slave plantation, right? Getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars, which is something that slaves didn't get, right? They didn't get paid millions of dollars, okay? They didn't have the option to get paid for their work. Athletes do. Modern day athletes get paid a king's ransom, millions of dollars to play a game. But yet you got these same people that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to play a game, boohoo, whining and crying, talking about, we're slaves, right? We're slaves. No, you're not a slave. Slavery or being a slave implies that you're doing it against your will. You do not have to be an athlete. You do not have to sign a sports contract. Okay? signing contracts means that you have to adhere to the terms and agreement of the contract in order to get paid, which again, for a lot of these athletes is a king's ransom. Having to do that doesn't make you a slave, right? It really doesn't. Again, I'm so mind boggled how these people always find ways to cry victimhood. They're oppressed, even though you are the most privileged people, not just in the country, but you're one of the most privileged people on the planet. Not even just on the planet, but you're one of the most privileged people to ever live, period. Okay? You're one of the most privileged people to ever live, period. But yet you're sitting around talking about you're victimized, you're oppressed because you're black, right? Or because you have to sign a sports contract. Again, it's ridiculous stuff. Again, I don't understand what's up with these people. If you don't like the country, you don't want to stand for the national anthem, you don't want to respect the national anthem, it oppresses black people, then leave. Go to another country. And if being an athlete is like being a slave, then just don't be an athlete, right? It's really that simple. But for whatever reason, these people still want these things that they claim is oppressing them, almost as if they actually really don't believe any of the things that they say. Okay, shame on ESPN for giving Ibram X Kendi a show, for him to boohoo, whine, and cry about racism. Again, this guy is the biggest race hustler grifter ever, right? I mean, he discovered a gold mine, right? He really did. Tell the world, tell corporate America they're racist, and the only way they can solve racism is to get a consulting session with him, in which he's basically going to always tell these institutions that they will be racist forever. Okay, there will never be an end to having to pay this guy to fix the problem of racism. But again, the reality is that he's just creating more racism. It's an amazing business model. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.